are Skaven Chieftains, and a good patch 6.2. With the item rework, we're going to be seeing some even more interesting builds come up, but nonetheless, it's just plain good to go over this fundamental hero. Since it's Skaven, even your basic tier 2 building will cough up 2 of these until you increase capacity further, and therefore you don't need to be quick to spam a few, though it helps. Recruited for, I think the gold version values are different and cheaper in-game, but let's focus on 250 upkeep. On Ultra, he arrives on foot at 3,783 health, decent but that's all. Armor is 90, which is a hell of a lot better than Clan Rats and squishier heroes, and missile resistance the standard 15%, but no shield. Leadership is shockingly low at 50. Speed 40, charge speed 47, melee attack begins at 40, attack interval 4, splash target size large, so trolls on down, max target damage 4. So far, so bad. Melee defense starts at 45. Weapon strength comes at 360, split base 100, and armor piercing 260, but this comes with a hefty and powerful bonus versus large of 25, making him melee attack 65 against large out of the gate. Charge bonus is 15, still worth it if you have to move, and mass is 650. Now, while we would expect charge defense versus large and charge reflection, which may or may not help because a huge mass difference in the rat will be tossed into next week, what we might not expect without prior knowledge is that the Chieftain has Guardian by default, as in at rank 1 or even multiplayer. Guardian gives 15% physical resistance to friendly lords or heroes within 35 meters, but not the Chieftain himself. Or rather, if you want this on the Chieftains, you need to use 2 Chieftains fighting within 35 meters of one another. Otherwise, they're there to use this to bolster friendlies like warlords, assassins, and so on. Physical resistance is an asset with many mundane threats, but whether a particular single target has it will be case by case. You'd rather have it than not most of the time. At rank 12, the Chieftain gains the Bonebreaker mount, essentially a mutant rat ogre without magical attack. I repeat, without magical attack. You're going to care about that lack a great deal against Belagar. Upkeep is still 250 supposedly. Health swells to a muscular 6,099, no more 97-pound weakling here. Armor is 70 in this form, speed 60, charge speed 82. Melee attack begins at 50, attack interval 4, medium splash target size so regular cavalry on down, trolls and up will not be splashed. Max targets damage 5. In this form, melee defense is 40 default. Weapon strength is 410, split base 120, and armor piercing 290, which is impressive, but there is no more bonus versus large. This is a rat that punches down now, not up. Charge bonus is a very respectable 50 and mass is 1800. Obviously, being a large target means you're being hit harder by anti-large weapons. It counts as a Molder monster if you have that DLC and have Pack Masters, and you should. You really should. The mount is a siege attacker, causes fear, and something that matters a lot to make up for what you lost. The hero now has Frenzy, so plus 10 melee attack, plus 10% charge bonus, and weapon strength, until leadership is in a very bad state. Punching down indeed. Both versions also use Scurry Away if routing. As an embedded hero, the Chieftain provides training to the army, so raising the percentage of XP gained during a battle. On the map, he spreads control and therefore denies control if in enemy provinces, amplifying the effect of your raiding. Damage walls, wound, and block army are your agent actions. There are a lot of situations where you don't have artillery with cheap Skaven armies, like Skaven's slave stats, and therefore, knowing where your damage walls agent action lives is very important, and I say that having frequently forgotten, whoops, because it's not the assassin who does that. Sneaky and Tricksy are the usual 1-pip wonders for missile and spell resistance 10% in the main combat line. Tail weapon starts it off with 1 pip for plus 3 melee attack and plus 4% weapon strength. 3 pips of Elusive provides plus 12 melee defense. Thick-skinned is plus 15 armor at 3 pips, and that's not trivial even on foot. Blade Master is plus 12 melee attack at 3, Indomitable is plus 12 leadership at 3, and hey, that's a pain point! Foe Seeker is the traditional speed buff and fatigue bye-bye active skill. Fervor is plus 20% weapon strength at 3, Scarred Veteran is plus 15% health at 3, and health on the mount is a much larger base amount to be boosting. Blade Shield is an extra plus 12 melee defense at 3, and that matters even more on the mount than before. Fleet-footed is plus 15% at 3, and just like for the High Elf Noble in Warhammer 3, it's Colossal Strike, a more anti-large oriented capstone damage active ability, and this matters because it can be used on the Bone Breaker to turn it into an anti-large beat stick for the duration. Armor Piercing for the win. The final 3 pips, quite unlike the High Elf Noble, are not mutually exclusive, and I'd go as far as to say this is what saves the hero from being underwhelming. Being able to pick up all 3 matters. Suspiciously Loyal is how you passively get non-legendary lords to build extra loyalty over and turn, grants 5% ward save to that lord regardless, and if that lord is routed or killed in battle, Power Grab activates, giving a blanket plus 8 leadership buff to his own side for the duration of the fight. Just so we don't miss it, here's the flavor text. I be leader now, yes, yes, till I die, or you find someone better. Chef's Kiss. Paranoid Defender passively reduces enemy hero action success by minus 15%, grants 10% to ambush defense, which is nice if you're fighting other Skaven and stuff, and enables Verminous Valor, usually used on warlords, a low damage escape explosion which can really help survivability when tackling blobs as Skaven. Finally, Bread Leader grants plus 25% Encourage Aura and plus 5 to the aura's effects, which are plus 8 default, so if there's no regular leader within that aura, the Chieftain motivates the clan rats just fine on his own, which is good because if they break, he probably will too. So how do we use the Chieftain? Even though his mount completely changes much of his use, early on you really do not have another path to an armored anti-large single entity, and that's a big deal because you don't have a Hell Pit Abomination handy, and it has less armor regardless. But if it's a rank 1 hero, the real value of it is the Guardian ability. You just plain do not have lots of options for getting that, so Chieftains are what you need to make it work. Overall, Chieftains are there to stabilize lines and slow down the enemy's advance, plus countering monstrous infantry, and at least trying to hold off cavalry, or just whittling down the enemy's infantry with armor-piercing damage. Is he great at it? Frankly, no. He'll get better, but he's not that good. With fewer but better items in the game in 6.2, you'll only see big spikes in his utility later on, but if you make it to rank 12, the Bonebreaker adds a lot to what you can accomplish. There are situations where you want him on foot anyway, but the Bonebreaker just adds force, and Bonebreakers can't be sent flying like foot chieftains can. If you need a rampaging group of Minotaurs held in one place, the Bonebreaker will do it better. If they're great weapons Minotaurs, he'll also get shredded quickly enough, so you need to use in combination with friendly stuff. While a lot of people prefer Plague Priests for supporting weapons teams, armies, or ranged in general, in a pinch the Chieftain can and will hold for a while as friendly fire pours in, mostly hitting the enemy. You do what you can to plug the holes in the cheese wall and get by. It's over the long run that the Chieftain becomes a reliable force because the extra speed, charge speed, and hitting power. Charge when it's 50 doesn't sound like a lot, but with all the buffs running, plus frenzy, plus items, you'll be amazed how much value you get out of this. In the end, the Chieftain is a leader of rats, and he wants to function within the context of other units. Take care and have fun punching down at the dwarfs that used to call you rat scum. Now you beat them up for lunch gold, yes, yes.